Hi guys, so I've got the day off work today, which is a nice treat. It's a weekday. When I've got a weekday off work, I like to make some progress in the garden. And one of the great things about this time of year is that I get to do something that I love, but it's also a little bit permaculture-y, because what we're actually doing is we're going to trim some hedges, and at the same time we're going to be making goat food. And I absolutely love that, because if you keep goats, you'll probably already know, and if you don't, maybe you don't. But goats, they don't really eat grass. They will eat some grass, but a diet of grass is not particularly good for goats because they're browsers, much the same as deer. And what they really need is a little bit of lots of different things, particularly trees and shrubs. That's their favourite. Hello, girls. Yes, I'm dealing with it right now. And by the sounds of it, I don't know if you can hear, but some other people have got the same idea. Sounds like my neighbours are trimming hedges as well. So you've probably seen in a lot of my videos, some of the most frequent opening shots are me walking down this path, because this path separates our kitchen from the self-sufficient hub of the self-sufficient hub, which is our vegetable garden, and our animals and everything are all out there in the meadow. So we've got this amazing hedging, and there's loads of it here on the property. We've got all this beech that, like I say, you've seen me walk down several times, and of course each of those hedges have two sides, and there's plenty more of it elsewhere. Can you hear those? You can hear other people with the same idea. So we've got a tremendous amount of this beech hedging, along with lots of other types of hedging all around the property. So what we're going to do is we're going to trim some of that today, and around this time of year it's absolutely fantastic because it's going to really enrich the diets of our goats, and we don't need to give them any hay anymore. The hay really gets them through the winter, because for the rest of the year their diet will be what we can grow here. So we're growing our own goat food. So as you can see, we've got these hedges now. We've just trimmed a little bit of them. We've got that on the ground. I'm going to do a bit more in a sec, but firstly I'm going to just collect up some of this and give it to the goats so you can see how much they enjoy it, and they really do. If you don't have goats though, but you do have hedges, then I've actually done a video called 6 uses for hedge trimmings or something like that, because you know, whatever you're doing, whatever waste products you think you're making in your homestead or on your property, they probably aren't waste products. There's usually a use for them. And again, you know, I try and think about everything as just energy. So, you know, the energy that's gone into that plant basically works a little bit like a solar panel, like all these plants do. Like, you know, I don't consider this area here as grass. You know, it's a massive solar panel, and that basically is converting the rays of the sunlight into energy through photosynthesis, and all our plants are doing the same, and that includes this hedging. So this energy that this plant has harnessed through photosynthesis, as well as the nutrients that come in the rain and are in the soil, they've grown this food just the same as I consider the energy in the food that we grow in our vegetable bed. You know, that's energy that has been converted from sunlight and nutrients in the soil to create energy that we're going to eat and become energy for our bodies. Well, this is exactly the same, and this is going to provide energy for our goats. But if you don't have goats, you know, it's still energy. There's energy locked up in here. So there's lots of other uses for hedge trimmings depending on what type of hedges you have. And you know, not least of all is composting, but I will put a link to that video in case you're interested. But like I say, my next job is to collect up some of this and give it to the goats, and you will see they will absolutely demolish it. So you can see, even though they've got this whole meadow of grass, they are straight on to these hedge trimmings. And it's part of their natural diet to browse all of the trees and shrubs, not just to eat a lawn like this. You know, sheep are different. Sheep can just eat the grass, even though, you know, they obviously enjoy it. You can see here rhubarb's getting stuck in, but for the goats it is really important. They can't just have grass. If you've got goats, you know, I've heard that there are some goats that manage on just grass and they do fine, but obviously we like to make sure that ours get as good a diet as we can give them. So this is as good as it gets, and the fact we've got all the different species of trees and shrubs means they get that variation as well, which is super important. So next up, I've got about a quarter of what we took down, and that's for Sid, so we'll give that to him next. Here you go, Sydney. How's that? How's that, fella? So there's one other way that we're growing goat food here all around us, and that is in these trees. So there's two things to say about that. When I prune the trees, and you've seen me do this, at least those of you who've been following me for a little while would have seen last spring and summer as we prune our trees. When they're in leaf, we give them to the goats as well, and they strip the bark, they strip the leaves off and leave us with firewood or whatever else it might be. And but there's one other thing that we can do, which we've never done before. I have toyed with the idea and I wanted to do it last year. For whatever reason, I didn't get around to doing it, but that is to make tree hay. What you can do is basically, around this time of year, when everything's in leaf and it's at the, you know, it's got all that fresh young growth and it's doing really well and it's got all that goodness and vitamins and minerals and everything in it, cut the branches and then basically just hang them. And what you do is you hang them like that over another branch, so they just hang in the air with the leaves down, and basically it will dry and form a type of hay, tree hay, that we can then feed to our animals in the winter. Now, who knows if I'll get time to do that this year, but if I do, I'll be thrilled, because that would negate the need for us to buy in the hay even through the winter. So we definitely won't need to buy any more hay now until the trees are bare again, because that's the point at which we won't have any hedge trimming that we can do, etc, etc. You see this hedge here at the back of the polytunnel, that gets trimmed down to probably half the height it is now. That's where it was trimmed down to last year. It's put on all that height in the last year. So, you know, everywhere I'm looking, I'm just seeing food energy that is for our animals, that nature has stored for us, has created and is storing for us to use throughout the rest of the year. We've got another hedge on the property boundary down there, on the road boundary, and I've been working on that one for 3 years now already, and well, I'll show you what I mean. So this hedge here, when we first moved into the property, this was overgrown right out past this row of trees here on the right, and I'm gradually taking it back. You can see here, this is the actual hedge line, and this is where we should be with our hedge, and I'm gradually taking out all this extraneous growth. And again, it's providing our animals with food, and it's doing so at no cost. So we're gradually getting there, and I just love, and I know the animals love, the variety of all the different species of shrubs and trees that we have here. So over the course of this season, you will see me gradually reducing the energy that we have stored in our organic batteries in our hedges, and you'll see gradually the goats get a huge variety of all of these things to eat. So there you go, that is how we are growing our own goat food without even trying. Isn't that fantastic? Thanks for watching, everyone. Please make sure that you press that like button, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and leave me a comment down below. Are you feeding your goats from stuff you're growing on your property? Have you got goats? Do you want to get goats? I love a goat, as you guys will know. Let me know, and I'll speak to you really soon. Cheers.